Hello, this is Sean Powell, and I am making another video uh, for the set of videos I'm putting together that make up Continuous Directed Change, which is a training course that I've written. I'm biting the bullet, I'm still not enjoying it, putting it online to hopefully help some clients. God only knows if anyone's going to watch this, but anyway, I'm putting it out there. So we now are looking at sleep. So we have looked at the 8 things on the outside, the 8 principles that are designed to help us make the kind of changes that we want to make in our lives. And now we're working down this set of positive changes that help all of us to feel better. None of it's rocket science. A lot of it other people know far better than me, but what we are doing is just talking about how we can use the principles on the outside to make these kind of changes that you might have wanted to make for a very long time. So sleep is often an issue for people with ADHD. Not always, but quite often an issue. And there is a reason for this, because we know that melatonin isn't always, it as can be a problem. Is that levels of melatonin can be lower in people with ADHD who also kind of got that sort of busy physical brain and mental. We can also approach for all kinds of reasons. Sleep can become an issue. So obviously this course isn't just for people with ADHD, but we are as I do a lot with people with ADHD, we are looking at it through that lens, but also this kind of information is really useful for people who might be struggling with their mental health. And again, sleep can be an issue. Sometimes we're sleeping a lot, sometimes we're not. And if we do struggle with sleep, it can make a huge impact on our mental health. So one of the key things to think about is the fact that take glasses off, put them back on. I'm going to read to you a section that I've written as part of this course. So, despite what we've often been told about our 8 hours, there's a body of thought that suggests that there's no natural way to sleep. As a society, we're bound by some pretty narrow rules that most people take to be God-given dictates about how to sleep. But that turns out to have very shallow roots historically. In the pre-industrial era, we would not have been able to sleep alone for 8 uninterrupted hours. Lack of space, the need for warmth, protection, keeping fires alight, etc., would have dictated how humans slept through the ages in a very different way to our idea of how sleep should be. If sleep is an issue for you, then this idea might help you to separate what social rules are around sleep from what your body is telling you. These are 2 very different things, and once you've figured that out, you can give yourself permission to have a sleep pattern that previously you might not have thought was acceptable. So that is just one thing to think about, that, it would have been perfectly normal years ago to have slept, we used to have two sort of sections of sleep. It might well be that you'd sleep for a number of hours, get up, tend the fire, do this and that, go back to bed. So what we're looking at here is optimizing sleep for you. That doesn't always mean that you're going to get your 8 hours, all in one chunk. So perhaps one of the things is to give yourself permission to be a little bit freer about that and to think about it in a different way. And we're definitely not looking at one size fits all here. Again, we'll look at how we use those principles. So, it might be that you'd set a goal to say, well, I want to sleep as much as possible, or look at what are you trying to get out of sleep? Probably to have more energy, to think more clearly, to be calmer, to feel better. So how can we achieve those kinds of things? So if we look at how we might use the principles of continuous directed change to be helpful, you might say, okay, I'm sure that those of us that have struggled with sleep might well know all the good principles that we've got to do, but sometimes get disheartened and struggle with them. But you might set a goal to decide, right, I'm going to go to bed early, and make sure that my room is cool and I'm doing all the relaxation things. And here I would say that the visualizations and the affirmations can be so, so helpful, because if any of you have ever struggled with sleep for any period of time, it's very likely that your thinking around that will have become quite unhelpful, I want to say. And I don't mean that in a critical way at all, but let's say that you have struggled with nights of insomnia, then it would be natural and normal that whenever you think about going to bed, you're going to think, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to sleep. So a visualization in this case might be helpful, because you would imagine going to bed and sleeping and feeling comfortable and feeling happy. Imagine, how does it feel to be happy with your sleep pattern? An affirmation, I sleep well, I am well rested, is going to optimize, is going to give your mind and your body the best chance of sleeping well. It's going to activate that reticular activating system, which will open your brain up to more creative thinking, and you may come up with solutions that you haven't thought of in the past, or just generally feel better about it. It's not going to be a magic wand, but it is going to make things easier to do. So I would say in this case, those things are going to be very, very helpful. Of course, like maybe the baby steps, so, small things are going to be really helpful. Speaking to yourself in a positive way. I mean, especially when we're tired or things have been an issue for a long time, it's very easy to get into a negative mindset. So to speak about things in a more positive way, again, will be really, really helpful. Giving yourself a reward, even if that is on, if you've had a really bad night, you're making sure that, you're still giving yourself credit for getting through things and not allowing yourself to feel bad or beat yourself up over that, or blame yourself if maybe you missed that sleep window and you didn't get to bed on time, or whatever. And having that progress review and the repeat, being prepared to kind of look at it and think, right, how can I keep going? How can I make changes? And one other key thing that I talk about in the course and when I'm doing coaching with people is to remember another key fact is that, sleep is one of those things that we can only do so much, short of going to bed and clocking yourself over the head with something. You can't make yourself go to sleep. It's just not doable. But the thing that we do have control over, the next best thing to sleep, for giving us what sleep gives us, which is that rest and repair, that relaxed state, that rejuvenation, is mindfulness. So whilst we can't make ourselves go to sleep, we can do relaxation. We can practice mindfulness while we go to sleep, while we're trying to sleep. So if we can't go to sleep, we can put on maybe a headspace video or some calming music and relax as much as we possibly can. And you may want to clock me over the head for that, because if you've ever really struggled, it's very easy to get into a negative mindset. But sometimes it's just about accepting what is and saying, well, okay, I can only do my best in this. And there's something else that might be helpful, which is like that no sleep deep rest. If you want to look it up, again, I'm referring on to people that know about this stuff far better than I do. If you look at no sleep deep rest, again, it's a meditative state that can help us to be more rejuvenated. So just some ideas that might be helpful. Another thing that can be helpful, particularly for those of us with ADHD, is to think about taking melatonin, because that is often lacking. and has proven to be really, really helpful. And obviously all the kind of things like good sleep hygiene, not having tech before bed, and making sure that your room is cool and not having too much caffeine, all of those things. Like I say, that kind of information is readily available, and there are people who are experts at that stuff. My purpose here is to show you how these principles can help you with getting best night's sleep. So just to go back over it, perhaps having an adaptable attitude towards it, being aware of what are your negative assumptions and using affirmations and visualizations to change it, setting goals, speaking to yourself positively. There's quite a lot that can be done even in difficult situations. So I hope that's helpful. If you ever want to get in touch or ask any questions or any of those things, all my contact details are readily available. Thanks then.